මේ සිරි දළදා පෙරහර සමයයි. ලොවට උරුම අරුම නුවර මහනුවර 1714ක් වූ ඇසළ පෙරහර මංගල්‍යයේ අවසන් කුඹල් පෙරහර වීදි සරන්නට සියල්ල සූදානම්. අපරභාග 7:15ක් වූ සුබ මුහුර්තයේ පෙරහර ගමන් ආරම්භය සිදුවනවා. සිංහරාජ හස්තිරාජයාව විසින් අද දවසේ සදහතුක කරඬුව වඩම්මන්නට වාසනාලාභය උදා කර ගන්නවා. වීදිවල සිට පෙරහැර නරඹනවා සේම ලෝකවාසී ඔබ මේ අසිරිමත් මංගල්‍ය නරඹන්නට ආශක්ත බව අපි ඉතා හොඳින් දන්නවා. ඒ නිසාම ශ්‍රී දළදා මාලිගාවේ මාධ්‍ය කාර්යාංශය විසින් මේ සියලු කරුණු කාරණා ඔබ වෙත දැකබතා ගන්නට අවස්ථාව උදා කර තිබෙනවා. මිදන්
நன்றி அனுருத்த. துளிர்விடும் மனங்களில் சாரல் தூறிக் கொண்டிருக்கின்ற கண்டி மாநகருடைய அசல பெரஹராவின் 5வது நாள் கும்பல் பெரஹரா என்று துமித்த துளிகளோடு ஒன்றாகி பெரு வெள்ளமென திரண்டு வந்திருக்கின்ற அனைத்து மக்களையும் வருக வருகவென வரவேற்றுக் கொண்டு நேரடியாக காண இயலாதவர்கள் நேரலை வாயிலாகவும் டயலாக் தொலைக்காட்சி 48 பியோ டிவி 20310 ஃப்ரீசெட் 2 மற்றும் தலதா மாளிகையின் ஃபேஸ்புக் மற்றும் யூடியூப் தளங்களினூடாகவும் பார்வையிடலாம். இது கண்டி எசல பெரஹரா 2024. அனைவரும் வருக, பொன்னருள் பெருக. ரவிஹார்.
Thank you, Midan. Today marks the final Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera festival, filled with captivating dancers, traditional music and majestic elephants. So at the auspicious hour of 7:15 p.m. under the enchanting night sky, the ceremonial Tusker Kataragama Vasana will move through these streets in this magical city. So we invite you all to join with us with a live broadcasting brought to you by Pure TV channel number 2310, Dialogue TV channel number 48 and FreeSat channel number 2. May you all have the blessings of the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha. Stay tuned.
Dalada Samindu Pihitai. We are delighted to welcome you to the special live broadcast of the 5th and final Kumbal Perahera of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024. Brought to you by the Media and Special Projects Bureau of Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy.
You are now seeing the Perahera officials obtaining the permission and blessings of the Diyawadana Nilame, the lay custodian of the sacred tooth relic, before commencing their street perambulations. Now the Diyawadana Nilame will be making his way from the upper level Ihalamalaya to the lower level of the chamber known as Pathamalaya of the Vadasitina Maligaya, and he is seen ceremoniously and reverentially carrying the Perahera casket under the protection of the custodian venerating prelate of the Askiri Mahaviharaya towards the ceremonial Tusker under much veneration. This is amidst the offering of light, sounds, scents and flowers all the way the upper chamber till it is placed on the awaiting Tusker. This is the fifth and the final Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024, which is taking place for the 1714th time.
We are now seeing the Perahera casket, which contains 32 relics of Lord Buddha being placed within the Run Hilly gate that is mounted on the lavishly costumed tusker who will uplift the majesty of this great procession.
And these officials are seen offering flowers and floral garlands to the Perahera casket. This is to respect and pay homage to the sacred tooth relic to honor Lord Buddha.
This is the devout moment when the royal tusker shall step majestically down from the Mahavahal Kada, the main entrance onto the Sandagala, the moonstone, amidst the tune of traditional Nagasingam music, in preparation to parade the streets of the Kandyan city.
Today, the royal tusker will be Vasana of Ruhunumaha Kataragama Devale, and he will be accompanied by the tuskers Miyan Raja and Kote Raja. And you are now seeing a panoramic view of the citadel of Sri Dalada Maligawa Kandy, which has been illuminated to celebrate this grand cultural sensation. Walking up front with the sound of thundering waves piercing through the night skies are a troupe of whip crackers who are being led by Mr. Upali Jayaratna. The whip crackers will be announcing that the procession has commenced, and they are tasked with clearing the way for the sacred relic casket and the king.
When looking back at history, in ancient times, it was the ruling king who paraded the streets in the Perahera. But now, it is the Diyawadana Nilame, the lay custodian of the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha, who will resemble the king in the modern day Perahera.
The Perahera is believed to be held in prayer for timely rainfall, and the elements of the Perahera is structured in a symbolical way that it paints the imagery of a rainfall. And of course, the rain would never be showered without the striking sound of thunder, and these whip wielders are the symbolic imagery to depict the sound of lightning and thunder to pay homage to the rain gods, requesting to bless our crops and cultivations with rain.
The whipmaster's duty is handed down from generation to generation of their clans, and those who have only mastered the art of whip cracking will be taken to participate in the Kandy Esala Perahera. According to traditions, a Perahera which does not have this pedigree are not even being called such.
Kanishka, this whip that we see in the hands of these whip masters, it is nearly 7 feet in length and is made fully out of natural materials known as Niyaga and Navapatta, which indicates how traditions have been preserved and the authentic methods have not changed throughout the parading history of 1714 years.
Indeed, Pasasna. It can be also noticed these whip masters are untying the knots that are formed when whipping, and that is a symbolic to the various problems that we face in this journey of life.
It is an interesting fact from the history that in the ancient times, the sacred tooth relic had been considered as a private property of the king, and the public had never been permitted in having a chance of worshipping it. It was indeed the thankful move by King Kirti Sri Rajasingha who declared that the relics need to be taken in procession for the public to witness and venerate and seek for blessings. Coming up second in line, now we are seeing the arrival of the fire acrobats who are being trained and led by Mr. E.D. Tilakaratna.
Rain does not come with thunder alone. Just as lightning flashes across the skies, the procession too has its flashes of light, dancing across the faces of the people lining the streets to watch. These are the fire dancers who are offering fire, inviting the rain gods to water our land with rain.
Kanishka, you mentioned that these fire acrobats are offering fire, inviting the rain gods to water our lands with rain. So it seems very paradox to learn that we offer fire to seek for water. But this phenomenon of nature is magnificently depicted by this group of fireball dancers who perform this thrilling stunt of acrobatics while illustrating how lightning comes with the rain.
Indeed, Pasasna, the fireball dance is performed in 3 levels that are known as Bin Talaya, the low level, Mada Talaya, the mid level, and Ahas Talaya, the sky level. That is definitely the highlighted episode of the fireball dance that is performed standing on each other with great discipline and balance.
The cooling breeze that blows from the surroundings, from the Udavatta forest on the right and from the Kandy lake on the left, certainly creates the feel of how nature too contributes to the Perahera by displaying its unmatched, unique forms of beauty to this Perahera that shall bless our country. So even amidst the rain, we can see these performers are doing their best to show their skills, to pay homage to the rain gods, asking for the rain to cultivate our crops and lands. You are now witnessing the 5th and the final Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024, which is brought to you by the Media and Special Projects Bureau of the Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy.
The sun, moon, earth, universe, solar month. Night and the day are all cyclic, and the fireball dance highlight these universal cycles which depicting how they burn and cool us in our life cycles. The dancers also paint the fierce cycle of samsara that is flooded with desire, ignorance and anger that are highlighted by the chakras.
And we can see, Kanishkar, how these fire acrobats turning the fireballs around. So this turning of fireballs is actually called Pandampalia, which paints the night with varied patterns of light using both hands and feet along with thrilling episodes of fire stunts.
Indeed, Pasasna, these dancers are very mindful of the fire play in dispelling darkness, which also undertakes cooking, protecting the crops, and even chinas that are taming the fire. So all these things show and create the paint of the fire across the night skies as they move in the procession.
Indeed, Kanishkar. These fireball dancers, trained by Mr. E.T. Tilakaratna of the Ragama Valpola Aesthetic Academy, have been performing in the Kandy Esala Perahera for many years. And now, coming up next, we are seeing the arrival of the Buddhist flag bearers who are being represented by the inmates of the open prison camp of Pallekele.
The Buddhist flag bearers, who are clad in white national costumes, who are carrying the most respected flag of Buddhism while being preceded by the national flag of Sri Lanka. The sight of these Buddhist flags create a sense of tranquility among the spectators, reminding us the fact that this procession is in celebration, devotion, and an offering to great Lord Buddha.
As I mentioned a while ago, the flag bearers we see here are the inmates of the Pallekele open prison camp who have been staying in this segment in the Perahera for many years. They too are humans, just like us, who were once diverted in life in lieu of a wrongdoing that could have been a mistake of theirs or of their society. But this participation is a part of ordeal in releasing them back to the society as corrected humans. And therefore, they are here today to pay homage to the sacred tooth relic in hope for the change they pray for in their lives.
A priority of Kandy Esala Perahera is to reflect the unity of the Sri Lanka as a nation, which is in here is symbolized by the national flag that was leading the army of the flags, Pasasna.
Exactly, Kanishkar. As we mentioned, Kandy Esala Perahera itself is a symbol and an icon of the unity and harmony between multiple ethnicities and also social groups who live in Sri Lanka. So, this particular group of flag bearers stay in this segment as a special evidence of the previous statement.
It is an important fact to note the Buddhist flag is a symbol of faith and peace. The 6 colors of the flag represent the colors of the aura that emanated from the body of Lord Buddha when he attained enlightenment under the sacred Bodhi tree. The horizontal stripes represent the races of the world living in harmony, while the vertical stripes represent eternal world peace.
Now we are seeing the arrival of a group of sword bearers who are being represented by the Angampura team of Sri Lanka Air Force. Walking in great discipline, in their calm and disciplined nature, these sword bearers, who are clad in white sarong and a white headdress, are seen carrying the raised swords, not in warfare, but in a disciplined walk of calm serenity. The symbolic idea of these sword bearers is the historic protection that is provided with the utmost might to the sacred tooth relic. For those who know about the history of the sacred tooth relic would be patriotically proud of our history and the heroic personalities who always protected the sacred tooth relic with highest levels of bravery.
Since ancient times, the sacred tooth relic has played an important role in local politics, since it was believed that whoever holds the sacred tooth relic shall hold the governance of the country. From the Anuradhapura era to the Kandyan era, there have been several battles over the tooth relic, and it has always been protected by the patriotic warriors, and this is a lesson we need to teach our children, a story to be proud of, and also that if not for them, we would have lost the sacred tooth relic.
It is very fascinating, Kanishkar, how this grand festival always takes us back to the history that we have as a country. So this again shows us how our kings and our rulers sacrifice even their lives to safeguard the sacred tooth relic, which is the symbol of Buddhism in the world right now.
Of course, Pasasna.
And coming up next, we are now witnessing the grand arrival of the very first Tusker who would be walking down in the parade today. This Tusker is Pulatisi Raja of Sri Dalada Maligawa, and he is carrying the magnificent official Peramuna Rala, who is the front runner of the Perahera. And neither officials nor elephants are permitted to parade before the Peramuna Rala, who is in front of you right now.
Clad in the traditional white costume that comprises of the white jacket and triangular hat, the Peramuna Rala comes in weave carrying the secretarial scroll known as the Lanka meteor, which is encased in long cylindrical silver casket. The particular scroll that is encased in this casket is a traditional form of paper of the native Sri Lankans, and the scroll contains a full description of the procession, royal duties, and the assets affiliated to Sri Dalada Maligawa.
And following the Peramuna Rala, we are now seeing the arrival of this official heavy troupe of Sri Dalada Maligawa.
Pasasna, it is important to note that this heavy troupe that represent the official music ensemble of who are permanently seconded to the service of Sri Dalada Maligawa. They perform in dignified presence in front of the procession as a tradition which they practice with majestic skills. In fact, it is important to note no Panchaturya Vadana or traditional orchestra of Sinhalese music that produce sounds using either drums or other musical instruments is permitted before the Hevisi, as per the rule of the Kandy Perahera tradition.
And also, Kanishka, if you look closely, we can see so many young performers who are performing here with such dignity. So, It is a well-known fact that Kumbal processions in general of Kandy Esala Perahera make themselves as the stages for these young performers to train and to have confidence to perform in upcoming Randolu processions. So this is a special characteristic of the Kumbal processions that we have been seeing so far. As the most prominent orchestra of the five-fold musical instruments, too has its own variants that are authentic to various parts of the country, known as Upcountry, Low Country, and Sabaragama. The speciality of the Kandy Esala Perahera is the pure domination of upcountry traditional arts, wherefore this particular Hevisi instrumental performance belongs to the upcountry tradition of Hevisi, which is known as Udarata Hevisi in Sinhalese.
Sri Lanka is rich with its own genre of traditional music, and Hevisi is just dignified as the authentic sound of Sri Lanka. The history of Hevisi takes back to the time when the sapling of Jai Shrima Bodhi tree was brought down to Sri Lanka by Sangamita Teraniya, and this evidence marks the fact that Hevisi is the oldest traditional orchestra and Buddhist sound offering in Sri Lankan heritage.
Coming up next, we see the magnificent sight of the Gajanayaka Nilame, who is being carried by the Tusker Sindhu of Malwatu Mahaviharaya.
The Gajanayaka Nilame is the official in charge of the king's troupe of elephants, and it was a position given by him directly by the king himself. To symbolize this ancient degree, the Gajanayaka Nilame, who is attired in the traditional Sinhala Mul Anduma, majestically approaches on a tusker while holding the Ankus or the Ankusaya, which is the official symbol of the Gajanayaka Nilame.
And if we talk about Sindhu Kanishkar, he has been a frequent participant in Kandy Esala Perahera, and we saw his presence in previous Kumbal processions too. So today he is assigned with the duty of carrying the Gajanayaka Nilame as the second elephant or the tusker we are seeing at the final and the fifth Kumbal procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024. Coming up next, we are now seeing the arrival of a Bulat Pad Dance troupe who are being trained and led by Mr. Nalin Jayasekara of Sri Dalada, Maligawa.
Bulat Pad is one of the most serene dance performances of the upcountry dance tradition, which provides a welcoming gesture to the audience. The dancers carrying a heap of betel leaves on a white cloth with both their hands and dances in style, with great discipline, using footwork to the tune of the Gatabere.
ritualistic dance that is performed in healing rituals or Shanti Karma across upcountry, low country and Kataragama traditions. And we are seeing the upcountry version of Bulat Pad that originates from the Kohba Kankarya healing ritual as one of the 4 Hat Padaya or 7 dance episodes that comprise of the Bulat Padaya, Kotala Padaya, Mal Padaya, Salu Padaya, Pol Padaya, Yahanuti Padaya and Angarudummal Padaya. The motive of this Bulat Pad dance is to welcome the gods to the ritualistic arena known as the Malayahana.
In fact, Pasasna, this performance, which is seen as a single artist who is the chief dancer dressed in the costume as a part of the custom of the Kohba Kankarya. But since the Perahera is a performing art based on an event, we see the same Bulat Pad ritual being choreographed into a group dance.
Exactly. So, following the Bulat Pad dance troupe, we are now seeing the arrival of the elephant Ratna of Palmadulla Rajmahavihara, and Ratna is carrying an official who is holding the Buddhist flag which depicts the Buddhist affiliation with the Kandy Esala Perahera. Next up, we are seeing the arrival of a troupe of Malpada dancers who are being trained and led by Nelligala International Buddhist Center and Mr. Chaminda Vikramasinghe.
The Malpada dance performance, which is also known as Polmal Malhatpadaya, is a ritualistic dance performance that has its own variants of the traditions of upcountry, low country and Kataragama. And this act is an upcountry tradition that originates from the Kohba Kankarya healing ritual. Pasasna, would you like to comment on the Pol Mala or how it blooms in this traditional tree? Pasasna, would you like to talk us about that?
Exactly. So this polmala is the tool or this special kind of thing that they are holding, these dancers are holding. So this polmala, or it is actually the coconut flower, is the flower that blooms from the traditional kapuka or national tree of bounty, which denotes prosperity. In fact, the national emblem of Sri Lanka too consists the vase of coconut flowers known as Pulkalasa, that is considered as the national symbol of prosperity. So this Malpada dance consists of dancers who hold this polmala, the national symbol of prosperity, with both hands while sincerely representing the same bounty and abundance in their dance. So this dance act is quite new this year, Kanishkar. I think we didn't see much of this dance in the previous Kumbal processions.
Indeed, Pasasna.
I think that is giving us the cue that we are seeing more elegant dance acts, more new dance performances in the upcoming Randoli processions of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024, isn't it?
Of course, Pasasna. And talking a little more about this particular dance, this dance is to pray for the fertility and prosperity, which is interesting with the prime motive of the Perahera itself, where the dancers sing various ritualistic chants which are in fact verses of prayer for prosperity.
Bulat Pad Dance performance we witnessed before, Malpade too is one of the 7 ritualistic dance episodes known as the Hat Padel, that is an essential dance ritual of healing rituals across the country. The 5th and the final Kumbal Procession of the Kandy Esala Perahera 2024, which is brought to you by the Media and Special Projects Bureau of Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy. And next up, we are now seeing the arrival of the Tusker Raju, who belongs to Askiri Mahavihara, and Raju is carrying an official who is holding a canopy that symbolizes the protection. Elephants are a frequent sight in the Perahera tradition. If you look at the history, kings in Sri Lankan history had their own special elephants, like Garjana of King Ravana and Kadol of King Dutugana. These elephants weren't just elephants, they were like living symbols of power at that time. So no wonder that we are seeing so many elephants in this Kandy Esala Perahera, which reminds us of the great history that we have as a country.
Indeed, Pasasna.
So next up we are seeing the arrival of a Naiyandi Dance troupe who are being trained and led by Mr. Vasanta Gunatilaka and Mr. Vasanta Rajangana.
The Naiyandi Dance is one of the most significant dance performances of the upcountry tradition that holds a very prominent position in the Kandy Esala Perahera, especially during the Kumbal Perahera festivities. The word Naiyandi is in fact the name of the costume that is worn by the Naiyandi dancers, which is the same costume that is worn by the Kandyan West dancer, with the exclusion of the devoted headdress that is replaced with a cloth turban with a head knot on the head center that is taking the shape of a cobra.
For the task, another one being disciplined in what they do, and lastly, of course, being skilled in practice of what they do. Such virtues accumulate to ignite the devotion bestowed upon the Perahera. We are now seeing the arrival of another elephant. This gorgeous elephant is actually the elephant Salya of Mahiyangane Rajamahavihara, and his Salya is carrying an official who's holding a canopy that, as we mentioned before, depicts the protection. And next up, this is the arrival of a Chamara Dance troupe who are being trained and led by Mr. Nimesh Sumanarathna of Sri Chandananda Buddhist College, Kandy.
The ancient poetic anthology that was written during the kingdom of Koti, that is famously known as the Salalihini Sandesha, quotes that white tassels in motion along with majestic elephants are one of the supreme sights of the auspicious visualities. And the Chamara dance is certainly an inclusion to add more auspicious value to this great Perahera.
Chamara is a popular upcountry folk dance that is one of the most visually mesmerizing dance acts of the Perahera this evening. The chamara is a white tasseled object that was used historically as a fanning tool to the sacred tooth relic, sacred rituaries, and prominent individuals, including the royalties.
The tassels are fanned to the rhythm of the flute and the Kandyan drums, where the gentle cool breeze that is produced by this chamara brings a very pleasant feeling. This was in fact a regular feature of the royal courts in our ancient history.
That during this Kandy Esala Perahera period, during these days, we can feel and we can witness this devout atmosphere, not in this Sri Dalada Maligawa, not only this Sri Dalada Maligawa premises, but in the entire Kandy city, or maybe in the entire country, because these onlookers or the devotees who are waiting for this Perahera to come and also to witness this Perahera, they are waiting in such veneration and devotion to pay homage to the sacred tooth relic, which is the living symbol of, or this living icon of of Lord Buddha.
The Chamara dancers swing these white tassels in various stances, that not just creating a soothing visual to the audience, but also remind the audience of the ancient times in which the Chamara played a prominent role in cooling ourselves in the absence of the modern day equipments that are used today.
If we look at this dance act, Kanishkar, a certain degree of teamwork is essential for the best performance of this act. This is because the dancers need to synchronize with each other to maintain the visual consistency of this dance act. We are also able to witness another similar tussle dance that is similar to Chamara Dance, and it is known as Sawaran Dance, where the difference lies in the tool itself, while the Savarama has not just one but two tassels attached on either side of the object, unlike the Chamara. And this special tool and that dance act, we'll be seeing it later on this Perahera. And we are now seeing the majestic arrival of the elephant Banda, who belongs to the Honorable Diyawadana Nilame, Pradeep Nilangadala. And Banda has been a frequent participant in Kandy Esala Perahera for many years, and we can see that familiarity from his majestic walk, I guess. And following the elephant banda, we are now seeing the arrival of a group of mixed folk dance performers who are being trained and led by Mr. PCB Vijay Surya.
Traditional dancing in Sri Lanka is segregated to two main types, which are the Sastriya Natum, or dance performances that are based on healing rituals, and the other being Gaminatum, or folk dance performances. The dance that we are seeing now will be a remarkable fusion of not just one, but 4 different folk dance performances being done simultaneously in the same spotlight.
As it was mentioned by Kanishkar just now, we see 4 different folk dance acts, which are Thalamputta, the Kelli, Raban and the Sawaran, which we would be seeing being performed as individual dance items across all 5 segments of the majestic Perahera. And this dance act is certainly a snapshot of beauty of the Sri Lankan folk culture. Is also known as Jananatum or Gaminatum, which are dance items that represent the culture of native village lifestyles of Sri Lanka. These dance acts have no ritualistic regulations that need to be strictly adhered to in comparison to the Shastriya dance acts. In fact, there is a lot of space left for creativity in designing the choreography, costumes, tunes and other elements attraction, keeping in mind to not harm the authenticity of the dance as how it was passed down upon generations.
Closely, we can notice this dance is represented as one team, but we could carefully observe how they break themselves into sub-teams among themselves based on their designated dance. It is true that it is the same music that is being played for the whole group, but this music plays the tune for 4 different dance acts that involve 4 different props and 4 different steps of dance, which have been carefully presented to maintain their cultural identity.
Following the folk dance performers, now we are seeing the arrival of yet 2 elephants. One of the elephants is the elephant Madhu of Mutiyangana Raja Mahaviharaya, and the other one is the elephant Tharaka of Rankadu Devale Kaduvela. As we mentioned earlier, Kanishkar, elephants were symbols of power back then. And did you know that sometimes elephants were assigned, or the tuskers actually were assigned, of selecting the next king in the history? So that itself symbolizes or like represents what kind of power that the elephants had in our culture. Following that, now we are seeing the arrival of a group of Sawaran dancers. And this particular group of dancers are being trained and led by Nalanda Buddhist College.
Dance items which involve these tassels are used quite often in Perahera, but this is not the usual Chamara dance we witnessed previously. This dance, which is recognized as the Sawaran dance, is similar to Chamara, but with a difference in the prop that is being used.
We actually mentioned about this specific tool Savarama when we talked about the Chamara. So this, as we mentioned earlier, this tool, it consists of 2 tassels attached on both its ends, which make it a longer version of this Chamara instrument. However, the Savarama too is meant to serve the same purpose as the Chamara, which is to fan and cool the impending icon of worship, which was traditionally the king, and today the relic casket of the reliquaries of gold.
The choreography of this folk dance, that styled of the upcountry tradition, is designed to symbolize fanning that is performed using these different dance steps, different stances, and the visual beauty that is created by these tassels in motion are surely a soothing sight in the eye. Especially to mention, the dance is performed as a team, and just as other folk dances, this dance too has several episodes of breaking down into the different groups during their performances.
And following the Sawaran dance troupe, we are now seeing the arrival of 2 elephants. One is Kandula Veera from Sankapetti Viharaya Kaduvela, and the other one is Vijita Raja of Dimbulagala Viharaya. With the world changing while revolutionizing ancient cultures, traditions, and practices, one would wonder if the same diminishing cultures apply to these ancient Kandyan traditions too. Certainly not. For Sri Lankans, this is a devotion, and this is the same reason why we see very young to the very old people taking part in the Perahera to give out their best. And this is a good sign for the future of the Perahera too. So, let us remind you that you are now watching the fifth and the final Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024. And this special live broadcast is brought to you by the Media and Special Projects Bureau of Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy. And up next, you are seeing the arrival of a Pantheru dance troupe who are being trained and led by Mr. Palitha Hapagoda.
The Pantheru is a musical instrument that is used as a rhythmic tool across all three traditions of upcountry, low country, and Sabaragama. But the Pantheru dance is exclusively belonging to the Udarata or upcountry tradition of dance.
This particular instrument that we see in the hands of these dance performers is a small brass circular framed castanet with 5 cymbals fixed to it, which gives a subtle metallic sound as it shakes. It was originally used to keep up the beat in the chamber of versifiers or the Kavikarama, and is considered as one of the authentic tunes that are engaged with the sound offerings associated with the Dalada Puja. The Kavikarama is one of the 5 types of upcountry performing arts that refer to the chanting groups of Perahera, which we will see today walking behind the royal tusker carrying the Relic casket, as they will be chanting the virtues of the Buddha while maintaining their rhythm with the same Pantheru. Therefore, it is only in the hill capital, Kandy, that we are able to witness the Pantheru dance in its most authentic form.
The instrument was used for the development of the semi-classical dance form, which is an art that was passed down from generation to generation. The dance is classified as a Gana network or the theory of the Panchaturya Vadana, since the Pantheru is an instrument belonging to the Gana classification, as it needs to be dashed in order to be instrumental.
So we are now seeing the arrival of yet another magnificent tusker who is carrying an official who is holding a canopy. And now we are seeing the very first West Dance troupe that we are witnessing today. So This particular West Dance troupe is actually welcoming the arrival of the ceremonial tusker who will be carrying the sacred tooth relic casket today. And this particular West Dance troupe is being trained and led by Mr. Ishantha Ihalavela and Mr. Lasantha Vanasekara.
The most unique and most recognized presentation of the Kandian dance heritage is a mostly fully adorned West Natua or the Kandian West Dancer. The Kandian dancer's skill and dance form have been considered as an authentic expression of Sri Lankan culture. In fact, it is the icon of the West Dancer who is the branding identity of the traditional Sri Lankan dancing across the seven seas, despite the presence of the artistic dance performances that are authentic to the traditional Sri Lankan dance. Pasasna, it is amusing to hear that it is the same picture that is illustrated on everyone's mind when they hear the phrase Sri Lankan dance, which we could be certainly proud of, isn't it?
Exactly, Kanishka. This is the pride of our country, and this is the pride of the culture that we have been safeguarding for many years. And also, Kanishkar, we should mention this for sure. Being a West dancer is no easy deal. Any primitive dancer needs years and years of practice and skill in order to be crowned as a West dancer. And they are only permitted to wear the West tattoo or the much respected headdress is only after they are religiously coronated as a West dancer. This is a highly respected tradition that is even practiced in the modern times. So as we mentioned before, these West dancers are bringing us the auspicious message that we are about to see the most awaited moment of the fifth and the final Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera, which is the arrival of the ceremonial tusker who will be carrying the relic casket of Lord Buddha.
The West dance is more than just a ritual. It is a sacred recitation for the protection against misfortune. Therefore, the costume of these dancers are also considered sacred. This most glamorous costume symbolically represents the regalia of the King Malaya, the royalty who performed the ancient ritual of the Hatapas Mangalya, which is a healing ceremony that was held 2500 years ago.
And this particular dance act of this West dance, this particular step actually is called Narumatra, where they use their costume, the cloth of their costume, to perform this specific dance performance. So today, the ceremonial tusker who will be carrying the sacred tooth relic casket would be the tusker Vasana of Ruhunu Maha Kataragama Devale, and he will be accompanied by the tusker Kote Raja of Kote Raja Mahavihara and the tusker Miyan Raja of Sri Dalada Maligawa.
Dressed in the white Tupatya costume, this is the Karya Karavana Korale, who is the royal official that holds the responsibility for all engagements in regard to the offering, the Perahera and the relic casket. He is only seconded to the Diyawadana Nilame, and he is only the person in the Perahera who has the permission to walk forward and backward during the Perahera. Pasasna, in fact, the Karya Korana Korala, who represent the Diyawadana Nilame in other routines of the Sri Dalada Maligawa, including the procession of the new harvest, Vesa, Posam, and Kartika.
We are now seeing the Nagasingham instrumentalists who are walking, leading the way to the sacred relic casket. Let us take a moment to worship the sacred relic casket. Let us take a moment to feel the devotion. And now we are seeing the arrival of the chamber of versifiers who are walking behind the trio of tuskers who are carrying the sacred relic casket. The Chamber of Versifiers, or the Kavikara Maduva, the group of poets who walk behind the relic casket while singing the virtues of Lord Buddha. They are holding several instruments, including the Pantheru, Udakya, and the speciality of the Kavikara Maduva is that these versifiers shall only perform when the relic casket is taken out of the relic chamber and shall sing till it's reverentially placed back after the Perahera. And now we are seeing the second West Dance troupe we are witnessing today, and this West Dance troupe is trained and led by Mr. Sanjeeva Verapitiya and Mr. Peter Surasena.
According to history, Queni was a princess of the Yaksha tribe in Sri Lanka, who became the wife of King Vijaya upon his arrival to Sri Lanka. Being the first young lady who he witnesses just after discovering this copper-sanded land of Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, it is a sad incident when Queni was betrayed by King Vijaya, which led to a devastated Queni who was left out with both her children. Being frustrated with pressure, Queni cursed King Vijaya and his descendants, which ultimately affected King Panduvasdeva, who was a relative king of King Vijaya.
And this is related to the story of this West Dance, right, Kanishkar?
Indeed, Pasasna. So this takes us back to the history and the tradition that Sri Lanka holds and what this Perahera means to the onlookers and to the whole Sri Lankan people as a whole unit, isn't it?
Exactly, Kanishkar. Actually, we will be telling you these stories and the histories of these dance performances in the upcoming Peraheras too. So we invite you all to stay tuned and join with us on this live broadcast of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024. If you want to learn more about these dance performances and the history of Perahera. So it has been the tradition of the Kumbal processions, Kanishka, that the Diyawadana Nilame, or the lay custodian of the sacred tooth relic, will only walk in the procession at the first Kumbal procession, and after that, all the other four Kumbal processions, he will be represented by the Gajanayaka Nilames of the Sathara Devale. So, according to that tradition, at the final and the fifth Kumbal procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024, today, representing the lay custodian of the sacred tooth relic, the Diyawadana Nilame, you will be witnessing the majesty of the Honorable Gajanayaka Nilame of Sri Maha Pattini Devale, Mr. Lal Hemanta Bandara. And this specific West Dance troupe is welcoming and accompanying the Honorable Gajanayaka Nilame, Lal Hemanta Bandara of Sri Maha Pattini Devale. It is important to note, Kanishka, that these West dancers, as well as many other dance performers who are taking part in the Esala Perahera, they are engaged in different professions. Sometimes they are from all around the world. But it is very fascinating that during this Perahera season, they come together to this place and to this city of Kandy to train and to pay homage to the sacred tooth relic and to the godly requeries with their skills in dancing and performance art.
Indeed, Pasasana. These dancers observe their traditional rituals and obtain permission to dance in the procession. However, those who dance in the Dalada Perahera are those who have brought this with them in the sansaric habit and the skills in the performance of the art form.
And these dancers must be considering this opportunity to pay homage to the sacred tooth relic with their skills in performing arts as a blessing.
It is a fascinating fact on the upcoming Randoli Perahera processions, many of the Naiyandi Dance troupe members would be replaced with the West troupe dancers, which will be making the Randoli processions more colorful and more prosperous for the onlookers and to the whole Sri Lanka as a nation.
Exactly, Kanishka. So if you look at the meaning behind this Kumbal processions, it is usually very modest and very charming in nature. miniature compared to the Randoli processions. So in the upcoming Randoli processions, you will be witnessing many brand new dance acts, in the sense brand new for this year, and also it will be full of more color and elegance compared to Kumbal processions, and you will be able to witness a lot of performers as well as more elephants and tuskers in Randoli processions too. You are now watching the special live broadcast of the fifth and the final Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024, which is brought to you by the Media and Special Projects Bureau of Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy. And now you are seeing the arrival of the Gajanayaka Nilame of Sri Maha Pattini Devale, Honorable Lal Hemanta Bandara, who will be representing the Honorable Diyawadana Nilame, the lay custodian of Sacred Tooth Relic, Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy.
An interesting fact from history that in the ancient times, the sacred tooth relic had been considered as a private property of the king, and the public had never been permitted in having a chance of worshipping it. It was indeed the thankful move by King Kirtisi Rajasinghe who declared that the relics needs to be taken in procession for the public to witness and venerate in seek for blessings.
Ancient poem translated from the book Sangarajvata recites the story of the Kandy Esala Perahera as follows. The Kingdom of Sankaragala. The procession of the month of Esala, held from times ago in favor of the gods above, led by grace of the Buddha, followed by the deities, the Perahera shall perambulate, just as the kings did commemorate. So today, the fifth and the final Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera commenced at the auspicious hour of 7:15, heading to the auspicious direction of south, passing the streets of Dalada Vidya, Yatinura Vidya, heading towards the Raja Vidya. about the history of Kandy Esala Perahera, the most revealing narration of the Esala Perahera is found in the book written by the Chinese pilgrim Fahian in the 5th century. The sporadic invasions by the Dravidians resulted in the shift of the kingdom from Anuradhapura to several destinations such as Polonnaruwa, Damadeniya, Yabahuwa, Kurunagala and Kotte, as well as Gampala. With the final shift of the kingdom to this great city of Kandy, the relics have remained undisturbed, and thereby the Kandy Esala Perahera has been held annually to rejoice and honor the sacred tooth relic. We are seeing more of this West Dance act at the moment, Kanishka. I think this is because the esteemed position that the West dancing performance possesses in the Kandian performing arts as well as Sri Lankan performing arts. So that is indeed should be the reason that these West dancers are assigned with the duty of welcoming the sacred tooth relic as well as the Diyawadana Nilame or the lay custodian.
Indeed, Pasasna.
Buddhist worship, while it also represents a frozen image of ancient service known as Rajakarya, where people of different occupational castes perform duties to the king in return for enjoying their utility of royal lands and grounds.
And Pasasna, it is important to note, with the world changing while revolutionizing ancient cultures, traditions and practices, one would wonder if the same diminishing cultures apply to these ancient Kandian traditions too. Certainly not. For Sri Lankans, this is a devotion, and this is the same reason why we see the very young to very old of people taking part in the Perahera to give out their best, and this is truly a good sign for the future of the Perahera as well. Isn't it, Pasasna?
Exactly, Kanishka. should be noted that times before the Dalada Perahera commenced, 1714 years ago, it was just the Devale Perahera that comprised of the gods Natha, Vishnu, Kataragama and Pattini, which still follows the Dalada Perahera as part of the old tradition. The order of these Devales are in fact lined up in the order in which the gods shall be attaining Buddhahood as per its belief. And as we are nearing to the end of Sri Dalada Maligawa procession, you will be able to witness the Satarama Devale processions in this final and the fifth Kumbal procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024.
Talking about the West dancing, it was considered as a part of the royalty itself, where it was formerly associated with the kings since ancient times. When going down the history, the West dance was performed in the time of Anuradhapura kingdom, and this had been rebranded as a Kandyan dance only after the royalty had shifted to the kingdom of Kandy.
You are now seeing the beautiful weave of Sri Dalada Maligawa Kandy taken from the sky, and it has been illuminated with lights to celebrate the elegance of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024, which has been taking place for 1714 times.
Now we have to note an important point, that the king Kirtisi Megavarna, who pledged that the relics must be carried around the city once a year, and this tradition still continues, followed by the succession of many ruling kings, prime ministers and presidents of our country, showing how important and how devoted the onlookers and the people around Sri Lanka are for this most beautiful pageant of Sri Lanka.
Exactly, Kanishka. And culture is something that you are passing from a generation to a generation. So as the Perahera has been taking place for so many years during the times of so many rulers and kings, prime ministers, so on. These dance acts as well as these Perahera performances also, they have a history of being like passed down from generation to generation to this day. So that is what makes this Perahera special and also a major icon of our culture and heritage. Now we are seeing the arrival, as we mentioned, the arrival of the Honorable Basnayaka Nilame, I beg your pardon, the Honorable Basnayaka Nilame of Sri Pattini Devale, representing the Honorable Diyawadana Nilame, the lay custodian of the sacred tooth relic of Sri Dalada Maligawa.
Passes now to talk about the Diyawadana Nilame. There's an important fact that he is the royal official who granted water to the kings in the history. And now it is designated as the lay custodian of the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha, who makes him one of the truly respected leaders in Buddhism in Sri Lanka.
And we saw him taking part in the procession at the first Kumbal procession, which was held 4 days ago. And according to traditions, he will be represented by, as we mentioned earlier, he will be represented by the Gajanayaka Nilames of Satara Maha Devale in the other 4 Kumbal processions. That is why we are seeing the grace of the Honorable Gajanayaka Nilame of Sri Maha Pattini Devale today at the 5th and the final Kumbal procession of Kandy Esala Perahera.
And he's been seen surrounded by his army of guards and followed by the Vidanis, or the chieftains of the 10 associated villages of Sri Dalada Maligawa.
We are about to witness the end of the Sri Dalada Maligawa Perahera at the final and the 5th Kumbal procession, and that brings us to the commencement of the Sri Natha Devale procession. This is the most devout moment where the godly ornaments of Lord Natha are being carried out from the shrine to take part in the street perambulations. As the commencing act of Sri Natha Devale Perahera, we are about to witness the arrival of the flag bearers, who are being represented by the Pallekale civil defense officials of Pallekale.
The Sri Natha Devale in Kandy is located right in front of the Sri Dalada Maligawa, where it is considered as the main shrine that is dedicated towards Lord Natha, and one of the oldest buildings in Kandy that was built even before the Sri Dalada Maligawa. The procession of Natha Devale is the first to follow the Dalada Perahera due to the belief that God Natha is next in line to attain Buddhahood.
We see Buddhist flags in so many occasions in this Kandy Esala Perahera Kanishkar, and it is indeed a depiction of the affiliation of Buddhism which connects with this Kandy Esala Perahera. If you look at the history of Sri Natha Devale, the premises of the Sri Natha Devale in Kandy is recognized since as the Jayabhumi, or the land with luck, since the time of our ancestors, based on the indication by an ancient Brahmin named Senkanda. According to the legend, this sage Senkanda had once visited this land and had witnessed a hare being chased by a pack of wolves, and with a flick of a moment, the hare had managed to chase the entire pack of wolves by itself just as it entered this land. Interestingly, it was because of the same Brahmin that evolved the name of Senkadagala to the city of Kandy. This is the live broadcast of the fifth and the final Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024, which is brought to you by the Media and Special Projects Bureau of Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy.
The origin of the Buddhist flag that we see today, which is an international that dates back to the year to 1885, where it was designed by the Colombo Committee of Ceylon, which was graced by prominent Buddhist personalities. And this was first publicly hoisted on the Vesak public holiday under British rule. So this is an important
fact to note while we are seeing this Buddhist flag bearers leading the way in the Sri Natha Devale Perahera, as well as just as we saw in the Sri Dalada Maligawa procession.
Indeed, Pasasna. And Pasasna, it is important to know that the Buddhist flag is also being used in the other countries such as Burma, Tibet, Nepal, and even in Japan with a slight variation. So Buddhist flag is not only for Sri Lankans, so this shows the extent of Buddhism around the world heritage, isn't it, Pasasna?
Exactly, Kanishka.
Pasasna, would you like to talk us about the time that the god Natha Devale's temple, that is in Dalada Maligawa location, when it was built and by whom it was built?
Exactly. So this Devale is believed to be built as an offering towards god Natha by King Vikramabahu III, and the royal buildings, including the palace, had been built in its surrounding. The Devale is built in the form of a Gedike Devale, which is of an Indian architectural style during the Gampala era, that is the main shrine dedicated towards god Natha, and adjoining the main building is the smaller shrine that is dedicated to god Gambara. It is believed that the Dutch armies had used this same space as their resting place when they arrived to meet the king. Another highlight of the Natha Devale premises is the historic Ashtapala Bodhi tree that is famed as the Valbodhya, which is much worshipped by all devotees who visit the Dalada Maligawa. As we are witnessing the Sri Natha Devale Perahera, we cannot forget the legend of god Natha. So the well-known fact behind god Natha is the belief that he is the next in line to attain Buddhahood as Maitri Bodhisattva, where he is also identified as Avalokiteshvara in Indian cults. The iconography of god Natha is shown as a gentle young man of fair complexion who holds a lotus flower on his left hand. He is in fact famed as one of the most dominant gods associated in the hill country. And we are about to see the arrival of the first elephant who will grace Sri Natha Devale procession today. And this elephant is none other than the elephant Rohana, who is carrying the Ravana flag.
It is a tradition that the first elephant to take part in the procession of god Natha shall carry an official with a unique flag of Senkadagal, which depicts an artistic visualization of God Natha, as you mentioned, Pasasna.
Exactly. And this is the arrival of the official Hevsi troupe of Sri Mahanatha Devale. And this Hevsi troupe is being led and trained by Mr. S.Y.G. Vijayasenan.
An amazing fact behind the Sri Mahanatha Devalaya is that it was the sacred site which was used for the naming and crowning of new kings during the ancient Kandyan era. The inheritors of the crown would customarily visit the Vishnu Devalaya first and then arrive at the Sri Mahanatha Devalaya to pick their favored name as a king among the golden plates and then be crowned amidst all worship and respect.
Yes. So as we are witnessing the performance of the Hevsi troupe of Sri Mahanatha Devalaya, we have to mention that just like how the Hevsi troupe of the Sri Dalada Maligawa Procession engages in their own routine offerings, the Hevsi troupes of these 4 Devala Peraharas are the actual lineages who still perform in the daily, weekly, monthly and annual rites and rituals of the particular Devala. This is because Hevsi is not just a part of the Sri Dalada Maligawa's rituals, but it is also similarly important to the offerings of the Devala shrines as the main Shabda Puja or offerings towards the respective god. Interestingly, the tunes that are played by these ensembles are the ones that are unique to the respective Devala.
It is fascinating to know how all of the blend of these instruments individually contribute to the symphonic sound of overall ensemble. When musically analyzing the instruments on its own, we see the dowler is used to create a deep echoing sound. The tammatama, on the other hand, creates a noise that is heard to a far distance, while the horanava creates a high-pitched wind noise. And all of these put together creates the iconic symphony that covers the heritage of Sri Lanka.
Hevsi has its situational variants apart from its regional differences. And such situational variants include Kemmura, Yama, Puja, Hevsi Paha, Dura and Tipmatra Hevsi. Situational variants are interesting to notice and identify since the drumming and playing of the instruments are done differently based on one occasional instance to another. The Valinada is yet another key element of the Hevisia, which is in fact the transitional symphony while changing from one situational variant to another.
The prominent drums used in Hevsi has its own distinct characteristics. The dowler, which belongs to the classification of Vitatatata among the Panchaturiya Nada, is played using both bare hands, and the stick, which is known as the Kadippua. It is 15 inches long in length with its circumference of 45 inches and is in fact the main drum that is used for the dance and traditional rituals of the Sabaragama culture in Sri Lanka, which is authentic to the cities of Ratnapura, Kuruvita and Balangoda, even though it resembles a prominent place in the upcountry Havisi on Sunburn too.
And we are about to witness the arrival of the second elephant of Sri Mahanatha Devale procession, who is the Vaurukannala elephant, and he's carrying an official who's holding a Buddhist flag.
Pasasna, it is fascinating to know the elephant dresses which are in light colors in Kumbal Perahera will be replaced with more colorful and magnificent dresses in the Randoli Perahera which are upcoming from tomorrow.
Exactly, Kanishkar. It is because, as we mentioned earlier, Kumbal procession is the epitome of like modesty and also kind of a calm, like charming atmosphere. So because of that, we won't be seeing like more colors here, but we will be seeing more color and elegance, as you mentioned, in the upcoming Randoli processions. And it takes us to the next dance troupe, which is a Sawaran dance troupe, and this dance troupe is being led and trained by Mr. Dilshan Shalikar. This is in fact the second Sawaran dance troupe that we are seeing today, isn't it, Kanishkar?
Indeed, Pasasna. The suit tune of the blowing of using the flutes is very mesmerizing to the ear, and the tunes we hear from these flutes are in fact specific poems that are exclusively written for the Sawaran dance known as Sawaran Kavi.
If we go back to the story of God Natha, the legend of God Natha takes us down through many cults in Buddhism, including the Mahayana and Theravada traditions, where he is predominantly associated as the future Buddha. In the Sri Lankan history, there are recorded evidence that mentions God Natha, and they are Sandesha of Tisara, Gira and Kol, where God Natha was one of the prime deities who were seeked by the ancient kings of Sri Lanka.
And Pasasna, to note in this Sawaran dance, the tassels which are made are not artificial crafts. In fact, this is known to be the tail hair of Chamara deer who lives in the tip of the Himalayan mountains, which is used as a fanning tool of royalty since the very ancient times. It is also believed that there is no cooling breeze than the air fanned by the Chamara tail, and this is why the fanning using these tassels are sometimes known as Chamara's Silim.
And here we are seeing yet an elegant arrival of a she-elephant who is Lasada. Lasada is taking part in the Sri Mahanatha Devale procession as the third elephant of the day. And next up we are seeing the arrival of the Kelli Dance Troupe, who are being led and trained by Mr. Upali Dharmaratna. Kelli is also another interesting folk dance of the upcountry tradition that consists of performers having two wooden sticks on their hands, as we can see, who shall dash them together in a rhythm, individually and even among pairs or at times groups.
Being a folk dance itself, this dance too sets a village picture for the audience. But the origin of the exact moments performed can be guessed as the ancient practices for war battles among the folk lifestyles. And Pasasana, the name of the dance itself with the word Kelli translates to battle, isn't it?
Exactly. And with the fast tempo that is performed in several episodes of the Kelli dance creates the sense of energy that truly creates a battle atmosphere that we mentioned earlier. It once again connects the folk dance with the battle of the kings and rulers who used to safeguard the sacred tooth relic as well as the godly ornaments of the gods and the goddess in the history.
Another fascinating point about Kelli is that it is one of the performances that is performed since centuries ago, which is proved by the evidence that is still visible in all of us. In fact, the wooden carvings of the Ambaka Kataragama Devale that belongs to the Gampala era too portrays a pictorial carving that illustrates a Kelli performance.
Now we are seeing the arrival of the elephant Sumana, who is carrying an official that is holding a canopy.
And Pasasana, once again, the dress of the elephant that we are seeing now has lotus flowers in that, showcasing the flower of God Natha and how important it goes with the legends of God Natha as well.
Exactly. As we mentioned, Lord Natha is believed to be the next in line to attain Buddhahood. So I think the lotus flower could be taken as a symbol of that Buddhist affiliation as well. So here we are seeing the performance of a Pantheru dance troupe who are being led and trained by Mr. Chanaka Maduranga. The origin of the Pantheru consists of several legends that are believed since the time of our ancestors. One such prominent legend describes that the Pantheru was in fact a chakra of the Asura that had gone to the hands of the Surayas during the Sura-Asura battle, which is the battle between the gods and the demons. This is as illustrated in the ancient epics that we can find in our history. The chakra was then divinely transformed into the same Pantheru by the deity named Bandahiru, and we see it being used in this lively dance performance in this evening. And in fact, we should mention that Pantheru is a frequent dance item like Pantheru dance performance actually. It's a frequent dance items that we can often see in Sri Dalada Maligawa procession as well as the 4 Devale processions. Following the Pantheru dance performance, we can see an interesting arrival of yet another very frequent past participant in the Perahera, who is the elephant Sakura. And Sakura is dancing to the drum beats of the Perahera, and he's walking majestically down the road, adding much more elegance and color to Sri Natha Devale procession. And following Sakura, we are now seeing the arrival of the Naiyandi Dance Troupe, who are being led and trained by Mr. Asanka Karunaratne. And this Naiyandi Dance Troupe is bringing us the important message that we are about to see the most awaited moment of Sri Natha Devale procession.
Apart from the Sri Natha Devale in Kandy, there are several other shrines dedicated to God Natha. That includes the Vegiriya Natha Devale in Gampala, the Dodambala Natha Devale in Yatinuvara, the Pasgama Natha Devale in Hevahat, and also the famous Vidigoda Natha Devale in the Raigan city of Horana.
We have been seeing this Naiyandi dance act so many times in previous Kumbal processions too. So this speciality of Naiyandi dancing is that this dance is primarily performed by primitive Kandian dance artists who have not yet been attained reverentially as a West dancer. And any dance artist who aspires to be crowned as a Kandian West dancer would first need to master the skill of Naiyandi in order to proceed. And it should be noted that these Naiyandi dance performances will be replaced by more West dance acts in the upcoming Rangoli processions that we will be witnessing from tomorrow. We are about to witness the most awaited and the most devout moment of Sri Natha Devale procession, which is the arrival of the ceremonial elephant who will be carrying the godly ornaments of Lord Natha. Today, the ceremonial elephant would be the elephant Bandara, and he will be accompanied by the elephants Sadev Raja and the she-elephant Kueni.
The Naiyandi Dance is said to be belonging to the classification of Troupe due to its visual richness in attraction, and this dance is also known as Adavis, meaning half of the West costume, and at times even known as Tanikachi, that relates to the special head turban that is worn by the Naiyandi dancers. Asasna, these facts are so fascinating and showing the relationship between, once again, the Naiyandi dancers and the West dance troupe, isn't it?
Exactly. And leading the way to the ceremonial elephant is the chief priest of Sri Mahanatha Devale. And with that being said, let us take a moment to feel the devotion and to pay our respect to the godly ornaments of Lord Natha. As that marks the end of the Sri Mahanatha Devale procession, let us witness the commencement of the Sri Mahavishnu Devale procession. And this is the devout moment of the godly ornaments of God Vishnu being taken out from the shrine to take part in the street perambulations. And this is the commencing act of Sri Mahavishnu Devale Perahera, which is a troupe of state flag bearers. And these flag bearers are being represented by the Civil Defence Department of Sri Lanka.
The unique collections of flags in front of us are also known as the provincial flags. These include the uniquely designed flags for the 9 states and that are under the rule of the Kandian kingdom.
And this has a special connection with God Vishnu Kamishkar, because God Vishnu is believed to be the guardian of Sri Lanka. So that is why we must be seeing these provincial flags leading the way to Sri Mahavishnu Devale procession. And now we are seeing the first elephant of Sri Mahavishnu Devale procession, who is the elephant Haritha. And this is the arrival of the official Hevza troupe of Sri Mahavishnu Devale. And this Hevza troupe is being trained and led by Mr. Saman Priyantha Arambekithara.
The Sri Mahavishnu Devale in Kandy that is prominently identified as the Mahadevale or the Great Shrine is the main shrine in the hill capital that is dedicated to Lord Vishnu among the Satara Mahadevalayas in Kandy. The Devale is located northeast to the Sri Dalada Maligawa, which is accessed easily via the Rajavidya and is considered as the most prominent religious site in the Kandian kingdom that is only seconded to the Sri Dalada Maligawa.
Actually, Kanishka, this official Hevisi troupe of Sri Mahavishnu Devale becomes very special because this Hevisi troupe is the designated ensemble that is tasked with allowing the other four Devala shrines the right to team to leave for the Diyakapana or the water cutting ceremony. That is one of the final rituals that are conducted on the following early morning at the end of the final Randoli Perahera.
Different sources of history have pronounced this deity and the Devale by different names, where one such evidence noted by the English prisoner Robert Knox had called the deity in this Devale as Alutnuvara Deviyo, who had been brought to Alutnuvara in Kegol from Devinuvara in Mathura.
And that takes us to the next elephant actually, Kanishka. This elephant dressed in dashing blue is Muthu of Muttiyangane, and Muthu is carrying an official who is holding a canopy. And next up we are seeing a Naiyandi Dance troupe who are being trained and led by Mr. Sarath Ekanayaka.
Now, it is important and it is fascinating to note that most of the dresses that the elephants are wearing in Sri Mahavishnu Devale procession used to have the conch shell, lotus flower mace, and even the Sudarshana chakra. It is showing that Lord Vishnu is believed to have a dark tone, and it is a reason why blue color is shown most of the times in the procession of Mahavishnu Devale.
And the items that you previously mentioned also, Kanishka, they are very much connected with the legend of God Vishnu. So that is why we are seeing those items in most of the dresses that are worn and that are adorning the bodies of these elephants.
Indeed, Pastor.
Yes, and next up we are seeing the elephant Sanju of Matukama walking down the street, adding color to Sri Mahavishnu Devale procession. And next up, we are now seeing a very unique dance performance we see every day in Sri Mahavishnu Devale procession, which is a Sawaran Dance act. And this troupe of dancers are being led and trained by Mr. Ruwan Palgahagura.
Anthology that was written in the 15th century describes Lord Vishnu as the destroyer of Asura, which hints a belief similarity between Lord Vishnu and Rama of the great Indian epic of Ramayana. Interestingly, another poetic anthology in the 19th century calls the shrine as the Rama Devale, or the shrine that is dedicated to Rama. This is even more evident with the cloth painting that the Sri Mahavishnu Devale possesses, which illustrates the battle of Rama and Ravana.
Indeed, Kanishka, and we should actually mention about this particular dance troupe and the dancing academy that they represent. So these dances are representing the Nityatal dance school, and this particular dance school has been taking part of this Perahera for many years. And the most fascinating fact that we hear about this dance academy is that the Talgahagoda lineage of dancers have been in presence ever since the time of King Valagamba. And these young dancers are surely a hope that these traditions shall still continue regardless of the revolutionizing world. And that brings us to the next duo of elephants that we are seeing in the Sri Mahavishnu Devale Perahera. And these two elephants are, one is Biyagama Rani and the other one is the Mudunkoth elephant. And next up we are seeing the Naiyandi Dance Troupe, who are being led and trained by Mr. Kondadeniye Samansili.
It is believed that Sri Mahavishnu Devale in Kandy was built by King Senarat in between 1604 to 1635. During this time, in which Uppulvan Devale in Alutnuvara was destroyed by the Portuguese in the midst of their Kandian invasion, with the rulers of the Nayakar clan, who are an Indian origin, took over Sri Lanka. The Uppulvan Devyo was transformed to a Vishnu Devalaya based upon their origins of beliefs.
Kanishkar, we are now about to witness the most devout and the most awaited moment of Sri Mahavishnu Devale Perahera, which is the arrival of the elephant who will be carrying the godly ornaments of God Vishnu. And today, the ceremonial elephant would be Suranimada, and he will be accompanied by the she elephant Chutimenke as well as the she elephant Alapatha.
Now we are seeing the fascinating scenery of Kandy at the most auspicious time of Perahera, of the final Perahera of Kumbal Perahera processions in Kandy Esala Perahera 2024.
Yes, and this is the chief priest of Sri Mahavishnu Devale, and let us take a moment to pay our respect to the godly ornaments of Lord Vishnu. As that concludes Sri Mahavishnu Devale procession, now let us witness the commencement of Sri Kataragama Devale procession of the final and the fifth Kumbal Perahera of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024. As the commencing act, we are now seeing a troupe of flag bearers leading the way in the Sri Kataragama Devale procession. And next, we are seeing the arrival of the elephant Hadala of Hadala Purana Rajamahaviharya.
The Sri Kataragama Devale in Kandy is one of the key places of worship that are dedicated to Lord Kataragama in the city of Kandy.
Yes, and this is the official heads troupe of Sri Kataragama Devale, Kandy, offering their sounds to pay the respect for Lord Kataragama. Shall we continue with the story of Sri Kataragama Devale that we were talking about?
Indeed, Pasasya. The speciality of the Sri Kataragama Devale being the only out of the Katara Devale or the four main shrines that is located outside the premises of Sri Dalada Maligawa, as it is located in the Kotugada Lavidi, which was once known the Kavikara Vidya, where the poets of the king had used to recite during the times of royalty.
And Kanishka, the Hevisi troupe that we are seeing right now, the official Hevisi troupe of Sri Maha Kataragama Devale, it is quite notable when compared to the other troupes of Hevisi due to the difference in its tune and tempo. The style of Hevisi not just depends on the regional or situational variances, but also varies among the several lineages that perform this traditional duty. This Hevisi troupe that leads to the procession of Sri Maha Kataragama Devale, that is hailing from the lineage of P.V. James Gurunanse, is distinguished for its faster tempo that is similarly unique to the customs of the rituals affiliated towards Lord Kataragama, and also by carrying the large windpipe known as the Kumbal, which we did not witness in other parts of the procession.
Kataragama Devale had been built during the reign of King Narendra Singh, who ruled the country from the year 1707 to 1739, where it was considered as a personal Devale shrine to the Kandyan kings for their devotional rituals in order to receive blessings of the god Kataragama. Pasasna, do you know that the shrines dedicated to gods are referred to as Kovil and Devale in general singhalese, but it has differentiations based on the practice culture of traditions, where Kovils are usually managed with pure Tamil cultural practices of Hinduism, while Devales have a certain degree of Singhalese Buddhist influence behind them.
It's a fascinating fact to note, Kanishka, considering the fact that we have multiple religions and ethnicities living in harmony in this land of Sri Lanka. So we are now seeing an interesting arrival of two elephants. One of these elephants are the she elephant Hiruni, and the other one is the elephant Kesara, who are belonging to Mr. Ajit Galaki of Hambantota. And this is the Sawaran Dance troupe adding color to the Sri Maha Kataragama Devale procession, and this Sawaran Dance troupe is being trained and led by Mr. A. Suraj Madhushan Perera of Divyanjali Dancing Academy.
Devale in Kandy troupe practices a variety of Tamil-influenced rituals, such as the annual Theru festival that takes place annually in the month of June. And the chief priest or the Iyer, hailing from an origin of South Indian Brahmanic lineage itself, but the Buddhist affiliations of the shrine is not less Pasasna, especially with the administration headed by a Singhalese Gajanayaka Nilame and the Buddhist temple that is located within the Devale premises, and that what makes this shrine as a Devale instead of a traditional Kovil.
Very clearly witness how these devotees, the spectators gathered around in the city of Kandy to witness this grand cultural sensation, are experiencing this devotion and the glamour devotion that is combined with the glamour of this procession today. And the elephant we are witnessing now, in fact, is the elephant Podiraju, who belongs to Mr. Chamila Bandara of Gannoruwa Bandara Nayaka Walawa. And here we are seeing the arrival of a Pantheru Dance Troupe, who are being trained and led by Mr. Lakmal Veerasinghe of Helakala Aesthetic Academy.
Now talking about the Sri Maha Kataragama Devale in Kandy, it is constructed in a shape of an oblong building with wood carvings having a narrow passage on all four sides. The premises holds a main shrine dedicated to Lord Kataragama, along with several other shrines dedicated to several gods, including Lord Ganapati and Lord Ishvara.
And as we discussed a lot about this shrine, specific shrine, which is dedicated to Lord Kataragama, we cannot forget the legend or the story of Lord Kataragama, isn't it? So, this Lord Kataragama, or the god of war, is a divine deity who is worshipped as Skanda Kumara, Kartikeya or Murugan in South Indian tradition, and as Kandasurindun, Kadira or Kataragama Deviyo in his Sri Lankan cult. He is considered as one of the most powerful deities who has an appearance of 6 heads and 12 hands, who sits on a peacock with his consorts Tevani Amman and Wali Amman. Of this Pantheru dance performance, which include some thrilling stunts by the dance performers.
That Lord Kataragama is the younger son of Lord Shiva and goddess Parvati, and is considered as an important deity in the Indian subcontinent since ancient times, worshipped as Mahasena and Kumara in North India, and is predominantly worshipped in the state of Tamil Nadu and other parts of South India, Sri Lanka, Singapore and Malaysia.
Walking up next, we are now seeing the arrival of the she-elephant Godagama Rani, who belongs to Mr. Nalaka Jayasinghe of Godagama.
In Pachasnam, we can see the peacock being displayed on the dresses of Kataragama Devale.
Exactly. That is the connection that the peacock has with Lord Kataragama, as we mentioned before. And with that being said, we are now seeing the arrival of a Naiyandi Dance Troupe, who are being led and trained by Mr. Gayashan Malagammana of Malagammana Dancing Academy. And this Malagammana Aesthetic Academy has been taking part of Kandy Esala Perahera for many years, and mostly in the exact same dance act and the exact same position of the Perahera. So with that fact, their performance becomes very special to Sri Maha Kataragama Devale Procession. And they are actually bringing us the message that we are about to witness the arrival of the ceremonial elephant, who will be carrying the godly ornaments of Lord Kataragama.
In Pasasna, the peacock that what we spoke about, why it displayed on the Kataragama Devale procession, is that because peacock, who is recognized as the sacred bird of Kataragama cult, or as the vehicle or the mount of Lord Kataragama.
Yes. And now we are seeing yet another special person. Unlike the other four Devale shrines, the chief priest or the Iyer of the Sri Mahakataragama Devale in Kandy is not of Sinhalese origin, but he is in fact an Indian national who is of traditional Brahmanic lineage, and he is delegated to perform this venerative task since many generations, and it was his father who performed this duty for him. While witnessing the climax of the Naiyandi Dance Act, let me mention the ceremonial elephant and the accompanying elephants that we will be seeing in Sri Mahakataragama Devale Procession today. So the ceremonial elephant who will be carrying the godly ornaments of Lord Kataragama would be the elephant Ekadanta, and he will be accompanied by Giriule Bibila elephant as well as the elephant Asala.
Precisely, if you notice, the Iyer is dressed in the traditional white attire during the Kumbal Perahera ceremony, and the dresses in the grand red attire from the commencement of the Randoli Perahera.
Which we will be witnessing from tomorrow.
Indeed, Pasasli. Pasasli, in fact, there's another important fact about the Iyer that we are seeing in front of us. In fact, he is an engineer by profession, but the devoted sense that we Sri Lankans share with our tradition create the amazing motivation to balance out between our professionalism and the personal commitments without comparison on either sides of it.
While we took that moment to feel the devotion and to pay our respect to Lord Kataragama, that concludes the Sri Mahakataragama Devale Procession of the 5th Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024, and this is the commencement of Sri Pattini Devale Procession of the 5th Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024. As the opening act, now we are seeing the arrival of a Buddhist flag bearers, a group of Buddhist flag bearers, and these flag bearers are being represented by the Civil Defence Department of Sri Lanka.
The Sri Pattini Devale in Kandy is the only shrine of the Kandy and Satara Devale that is dedicated to virtuous goddess Pattini, who is also the only female representation among the guardian deities of the sacred truth relic. This Devale is located in the premises of the Sri Dalada Maligawa, which can be easily reached via the Deva Vidya, and is separated from the Sri Natha Devale from the ancient Athvidya, which used to be the resting ground for the royal elephants.
And with that being said, you are now seeing the arrival of the official exit troupe of Sri Pattini Devale Kandy. And this heavy troupe is being trained and led by Mr. Paladani Shankar, Mr. M.G. Sirisena and Mr. M.G. Premadasa.
According to legends, it is believed that the Devale is at least 4 centuries old, as they are written evidence of a Perahera that had been held during the reign of King Rajasingha II. According to the folklore, the statue of goddess Pattini at this Devale was brought from the Maligawa Pattini Devale during the time of King Vimaladharma Surya I. And even today, the statue of Malagamana Devale and the Kandy Devale look similar. And this is the evidence that suggests that Sri Mahapattini Devale in Kandy goes back to the 16th century in history.
Following the Hevzi troupe, we are now seeing the arrival of the elephant Mahiyangane Isuru, who belongs to the Venerable Urulavatte Dhammarakkhita Thero, the chief incumbent of Mahiyangana Rajamaha Vihara. And Isuru is carrying an official who is holding the Buddhist flag. And yes, now we are seeing the arrival of Pain Path dance troupe, actually which consists of female dancers, which is a very special appearance in this Perahera, because Pattini Esala Perahera is the only Perahera where we can see the female representation of dance performers, and also it brings back to the fact that Goddess Pattini is the only female representation among the Satara Maha Devale and the gods and the goddess that we are seeing connected to those devales.
Indeed, Pasasna, the male-dominated presence of artists that we saw previously is no longer visible, as we see the entrance of the female representations of the Perahera, which is indeed the speciality of the Sri Mahapattini Devale in Kandy.
And yet again, it should be noted that specifically in this Sri Mahapattini Devale processions of Kumbal processions, we could see like many young performers taking part. And it has to be noted that Sri Mahapattini Devale procession makes itself a stage for these like young performers to train, to gain confidence in order to perform in upcoming Randoli processions one day. And with that being said, we are now witnessing the arrival of a Kulu dance performance, and this is actually the kulla, or the tool which is used by these female dance performers, is called the willowing fan, and it is a domestic tool which is being used mostly by the women mostly in the past, right? I think it should be like, it is rather accurate to say that we don't get to see this tool in our kitchens much often, but it is still very familiar familiars for Sri Lankans. And this special tool is used by these dancers to add more kind of a feminine touch and feminine color and elegance to this special Perahera.
Indeed, Pasas.
And also, we should pay our attention to these colors. These female dancers are dressed in green, black, and orange colors, which bring us the message that we are about to see more color and elegance in the upcoming Randoli processions. And with that being said, we are now seeing the arrival of the she-elephant Maharagama Sita, who belongs to Mr. Roshan Sabarakkodi. And it should be noted, Kanishka, that we see so many she-elephants in this specific procession, right?
Indeed, Pasasna. Being the only goddess that is venerated in the religion's pageant, this segment of the Perahera not just celebrates the virtues of God Pattini, but it also celebrates the greatness to women and their value to the existence of this world.
And you are now witnessing the fifth and the final Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024, and this special live broadcast is brought to you by the Media and Special Projects Bureau of Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy. And the next item in line is a dance performance of color dance or the water pot dance. And yet again, this dance performance is performed by a group of female dancers. And this water pot is also very special when it comes to women. And it is very much connected with the feminine elegance of the women who used to live and who used to live in households of Sri Lanka in the ancient times. And we have to say that it is being used in the present, at the present as well. So in this dance performance specifically, we can see that elegance and kind of, what do you call it, kind of that feminine touch, as I mentioned earlier, with the walk and the steps that they are taking here. And also the next dance performance is, I assume it is a Pantheru Dance performance, which is being trained, and with these dance performers are represented by Sri Lanka Nutya Kala Mandala Dance Academy of Gampala.
Pasasana talking about the legend of goddess Pattini. The cult of goddess Pattini narrates many amusing stories, which are all part of the legend of this great goddess. One of the most interesting out of all such legends is her birth story, which is also popular as Sat Pattini, where it reveals the 7 different ways in which she had been born, which includes the story of goddess Pattini being born out of a mango, dewdrop, cobra tear, demeter flower, shawl, fire, and even lightning. The cult of Sat Pattini is also challenged with a different variant which illustrates 12 birds.
Yes, with that being said, we are now seeing the arrival of the she-elephant Dangovita Manike, who belongs to Mrs. Shriyani Gunawardana. And Manike is walking in such a rhythm that she is waving to side and to the other side to the rhythm of the drum beats.
Indeed, Pasasana, this shows her familiarity and knowing the tone of the Perahera after coming so many years in this great pageant of Esala Perahera.
Exactly. And now we are seeing the Naiyandi Dance Troupe, who are being led and trained by Mr. Mithun Bandara of Mithun Bandara Dance Academy of Watapulua. And yet again, that brings us the message that we are about to see the arrival of the godly ornaments of Goddess Pattini.
And Pasasana, to continue with the cult of Sat Pattini, I have to mention that it is also challenged with a different variant in which it illustrates the 12 births known as the Dolos Pattini Upata. And Pasasana, goddess Pattini is also popular among most Sri Lankans due to her power in curing diseases among women and small children. This is the same reason why many Sri Lankans in low country and in healing rituals, including the Gam Madhur, Devale Madhur and Pahan Madhur, have accepted its deity goddess as Pattini. The popularity of the ceremonies can only be agreed by an eyewitness, where thousands of devotees spend an entire sleepless night in the ritualistic grounds to experience and worship this miraculous power of healing.
So if we talk about the ceremonial elephants who will be carrying and accompanying the godly ornaments of Goddess Pattini, the elephant Mangala, who belongs to Mr. Udara Galapati of Giriulla, is assigned today as well with the usual duty that he is assigned with, which is carrying the godly ornaments of Goddess Pattini And he is being accompanied by the she-elephant Paramini, who belongs to Mr. Samantha Vijayamana of Maligawa, as well as the she-elephant Manike, who belongs to Mr. Anura Kempetiya of Kulpane.
Pasasana goddess Pattini is also affiliated as a goddess of prosperity, and the said virtue of prosperity is symbolized in the Perahera in the form of these many agrarian dances that depict the tool of prosperity in our economy, isn't it, Pasasana?
Exactly. Even after watching the Perahera for so many times, it still fascinates me how detailed and profound these dance items and every part of this Perahera is.
Indeed, Pasasana, that makes the speciality of the greatest pageant in Sri Lanka, the Esala Perahera, to be one of the most traditional and cultural identified event in whole cultural Sri Lanka as well.
The chief priest of Sri Mahapattini Devale, and let us take a moment to worship and feel the devotion of the godly ornament of Goddess Pattini.
And that marks the end of the fifth and final Kumbal Procession of Kandy Esala Perahera 2024. We hope that our country will be blessed with fertility and rain. May our country prosper.
Dalada Samindu Pihitai.